Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Today, I welcome everyone to His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaja's daily call. Today, Maharaj is going to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 8th chapter, 49 verse. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Glories to Prabhupada, my obeisances to everyone.
Yeah, I'll share my screen, Guru Maharaj. It will be the verse number 49, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, I'm going to take a 10-second break and I'll be right back.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 8th chapter. This is prayers by Queen Kunti, verse number 49. Baladvija Sriyan Mitra Pita Bhartu Guru Druha Nameshan Nira Moksho Yapti Varsa Yuta Yutai. Translation. Can't see the translation. Okay. I have killed many boys, brahmanas, well-wishers, friends, parents, preceptors, and brothers. Though I live millions of years, I will not be relieved from the hell that waits me from all these sins. Whenever there is a war, there is certainly a massacre of many innocent living beings, such as boys, brahmanas, and women. Whose killing is considered to be the greatest of sin. They are all innocent creatures, and in all circumstances, killing them is forbidden in the scriptures. Maharaja Yudhisthira was aware of these mass killings. Similarly, there were friends, parents, and preceptors also on both sides, and all of them were killed. It is simply horrible for him to think of such killing, and therefore he was thinking of residing in hell for millions and billions of years. Chaksu unmilitam yena tasmai shri gurve namaha. Ma om Vishnu padaya, Krishna prastaya bhutale, Srimakti bhakti vedanta swami iti namine. Namaste saraswati deve gongavani pracharine. Nirvisesa sunyavadi, astyatya de satarine. Vanchakalpa tarubhascha, Sindhu Vacha, Patitana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So this of the head of state say it's the duty of parents, superiors, and those whose responsibility is to take care of others, to make sure that 5 types of living entities are always given protection and are never mistreated. And that is brahmanas, cows, women, children, the elderly. These 5, it says that anyone who misuses or abuses them will incur great sin.
Hare
And it's the
Krishna,
duty
Maharaj.
of their protectors.
Hare Krishna,
to-
Maharaj.
Hmm?
Sorry to
Can you hear
interrupt,
me?
Maharaj. Yes, your voice is cutting a lot, and your video is also like hanging, Guru Maharaj.
Hmm.
I think your internet
Let
is
me
not
see.
stable.
I don't see anything on my side that indicates there's anything wrong.
Maybe if you can switch off your
Maybe
camera.
my microphone, maybe.
Yeah, and but your video is also hanging.
How's that? Can you hear me now? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yes, we can hear you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay, and it's mentioned that these 5 must receive protection and care from superiors, because they are considered to be vulnerable to be exploited. Just like nowadays, women are somewhat unprotected, and they are given exploited in different ways. And that is a great tragedy upon society, which causes the rest of the society to suffer along with the people who are being misused and mistreated. So here it's interesting to note that Yudhisthira, now being the king, he considers himself to be responsible for the death of so many different kinds of people. This is the nature of a Vaishnava. He's by nature soft-hearted, and he never thinks that he should cause distress upon anyone. It's also mentioned that even if an ant is killed accidentally by a devotee will feel that he has done something seriously wrong, and he becomes unhappy because of that. So this is the nature of the Vaishnava. The Vaishnava is kind by nature and always wants to enhance another person's success and livelihood and never take away from that. But here, this war was Dharma Yudya. It was fought for the reestablishment of religious principles. The fact that Krishna was personally present indicates it was a religious ceremony or war. And of course, obviously, when there's war, there's killing. And when there's killing, you might even say there are people who are affected by the killing who are not directly involved with the war. For instance, women, they lose their husbands, they lose their sons, they lose their brothers. So they suffer because of that. So he's considering that, yeah, I've caused great anguish and suffering upon so many others, young people, Brahmins, others. And he considers this the greatest sin, and it's also considered by the Shastras in the same way. But Krishna, it wasn't that Krishna wanted this war, but there was no other recourse. Duryodhana was avaricious, and he wanted to completely usurp the rightful throne from the Pandavas. Not only did he usurp it, but then being afraid that they would try to take it back, he arranged so many intrigues in order to kill them by putting them in a house of lac and then setting it on fire. Fortunately, Vidur knew it ahead of time and warned the Pandavas, and they dug a tunnel underground and escaped the fire. They gave Bhima a poison cake. There was Rakshasas that were sent after them to kill them. And while they were in the forest, they were harassed in so many ways. So Krishna didn't forget how his devotees were harassed by Duryodhana and his followers. And so when Duryodhana failed to accept Krishna's proposal to give the Pandavas some place to rule, then there was no other recourse but to engage in battle. And therefore, Yudhisthira, although, rightful heir to the throne, Krishna's desire that the Pandavas take the throne, the war finally was authorized by Krishna. And now Yudhisthira is blaming himself for the loss of men and others on both sides. You'll see that this is the nature of a soft-hearted person. Even though he's in a position of power and ruling, and he's a Kshatriya by nature, still they don't want to kill unnecessarily. So he thinks this was all unnecessary. Why he's thinking that was because for him. And he says, I cannot be relieved from the hell that awaits me for all these sins. So in devotional service, we commit an offense, sometimes we cause others some distress. So devotee laments that, is somewhat contrite about that, wants to apologize, and thinks that, just see, it's because of me I cause suffering to others. And they think of ways to somehow or other amend what they have done through various types of sacrifices, various types of arrangements. That's the nature of the devotee. As it mentions, the devotee has 26 qualities, and the first quality is kind to all living entities. That kindness extends in that a devotee will accept suffering in order to show kindness to others. That is the nature of a devotee. He sees that others are suffering, and if I can relieve their suffering, even if I have to go through some difficulty to do it, then that is my greatest happiness. So this is the nature of a Vaishnava. And although others won't appreciate a Vaishnava for the qualities that they exhibit and the kindness they show to others, they find fault with the Vaishnava, thinking that the Vaishnava is motivated by personal interest, and criticize the Vaishnava. Still, the Vaishnava doesn't retaliate those who speak against him or act against him. He considers them just misled or ignorant, and he forgives them for their ignorance, but he does not, of course, associate with such persons. So this is we're getting a little insight here. And one of the things he mentions first, it's just he mentions things in order. He mentions boys, in other words, young kids who were not actually involved with the war, but somehow actually were killed. Or maybe they were young soldiers who took up the fight. We have to remember that this battle was not just an ordinary battle, it included the entire world. Every king took the side of either the Pandavas or the Kurus. So it was a world war, unlike any world war before. And the results was 640 million. Try to kind of calculate how many soldiers that is. 640 million soldiers were killed. And hundreds and thousands of persons were no longer to be found. They were missing. So it's the greatest battle in the history. And Yudhisthira is lamenting that because it was fought on his behalf, He's responsible for all of this. But we understand that one who works under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not responsible for the reactions of their actions. Even if it apparently causes some difficulty to others, if it's the will of the Lord, it is also devotional service. And we see how Krishna will show compassion to the demons by killing them. Or he may neglect someone in order to help that person become more humble. Or he may take something away from that person's life, which they don't really need, and is holding them back in their spiritual progress. But this is all based on the principle of benefiting the object of the service. So in the same way, Yudhisthira was not responsible for all of these deaths because ultimately it was Krishna's will. And Krishna is the highest principle of morality. Even if Krishna changes morality in a different way, it's still morality. So how can killing be morality? But it's done for religious principles, done to rid the world of demoniac forces. It's done to reestablish God's saintly rule upon the earth. So therefore, it actually is beneficial. And that's the nature of the material world. You'll find in the material world, there's always calamities. The entire world runs on the principle of envy. If you see envy even in spiritual circles. If two devotees join together and they both practice Krishna consciousness together, and one excels and the other one doesn't, and the other one, that person who excels gets a nice position and now becomes a superior to his friend according to his position. The other person might feel envious. Oh, we joined together. We were friends and now he's in a better position. Why am I not in that same position? So sometimes it's like that. There's some envy based on similar activities. But in a larger sense, this is the principle of the material world, because the material world is based on competition for resources, competition for positions, competitions to try to exploit different avenues in order to achieve some type of satisfaction and sense gratification. So wherever there's competition, there's envy, a material competition, that is. And therefore, this is the nature of the material world. But here, King Yudhisthira, just like Krishna told Arjuna, you have to fight. You are my instrument in order to bring about religious principles. You have to kill your enemy. But don't think that your fighting is the cause of victory. It's my will. I'm giving the results based on the devotion of my devotees. So Krishna clearly explains in the Bhagavad Gita, one who acts in devotional service is free from the reactions of the material energy. Although there appears to be some reaction, that reaction is simply a feature of the activities of devotional service that is meant to be offered to Krishna and sacrifice. In other words, whatever we do becomes an offering to Krishna, and it's not an effect of the three modes of material nature. So there's a difference between devotional service and ordinary activities. Even though they also look the same, there is a qualitative difference in the consciousness that the activity has been performed in, and therefore, because of that, the results, although may be similar, still one is spiritual, one is material. So sometimes Srila Prabhupada would be asked, what's the difference between material and spiritual? And it says, when you do something for yourself, that's material. When you do something for the spiritual master or Krishna, that is spiritual. And although the activities may be similar or even the same. So that one has to understand that. And so Maharaj Yudhisthira, he can't hear any advice right now, and you'll see how Krishna will arrange for him to hear transcendental knowledge from Bhishma Dev, who was also on the battle of Kurukshetra, but evacuation, Krishna, and now his whole body is full of arrows. But because of the benediction he received from his father, King Shantanu, he can leave the body only when he wants to leave. And so he's not deciding to leave right now. And he's the reason why he's waiting, because he knows Yudhisthira is coming to him for advice. So he stayed there and continued to suffer the pain that he was suffering in order to give advice to King Yudhisthira. This was Krishna's will. So he's not to be responsible for all of the killing, just like Prabhupada would always. Of course, the example is there. A soldier, someone joins the military and they become a soldier and they go out and fight and they kill someone, but they're not responsible for killing because on behalf of the state they're acting. So that's a crude example. But if one who's killed many soldiers in a war, he comes home, he gets some honor, he gets some gold medal. But then if he kills someone when he's at home, then he is punished because it was on his account. So when we get are actually opportunities to offer something to Krishna in devotion and not the effects of karma. Karma means three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And they will give different results according to the focus of the performer. So here, and you'll see this lamentation goes on. Let's go to the next verse and let's see if we can go a little bit further into this particular mood here. Naimno Rajan Praja Bartur Dharma Yudhid Vado Disham Iti Mena to Bodhayat Kalpate Shashinam Vacha. Translation: there is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens, but this injunction is not applicable to me. Maharaj Yudhisthira thought that although he was not actually involved in the administration of the kingdom, which was being carried on well by Duryodhana without harm to the citizens, because the killing of so many living beings only for his personal gain, frustration for the sake of self-aggrandizement. And as such, he thought himself responsible for all the sins. So here's a reference to Duryodhana. In other words, Yudhisthira is thinking, oh, Duryodhana was ruling the world nicely. And now, because of me, and now we have this war, and I became his contender, and now I am victorious, but it's because of me that all of these people have to suffer. Everything was nice, but Krishna didn't see it in that way. Just like we make a plan to do something and we see things in a certain way, and we try to execute our plan. But we have to understand as devotees that Krishna has a plan for each and every one of us. And that is, what is that plan? To make us Krishna conscious. Although we are more interested in the results of the activity, Krishna is interested in seeing how much devotion a person is being is applying in their practice of Krishna consciousness. And that's what he focuses on, the devotion that we're offering. But he also may focus on the activities as a means for purifying that person from some anartha. So such as sometimes a person is engaged in devotional service and will feel a little proud because of their success in devotional service. Krishna will see that and not so much interested in what is being offered, but he's interested in teaching that person a little lesson so they somehow or other come back to the right understanding. So sometimes something will go completely opposite or apparently wrong, just to help that person become a little bit detached from the idea that he's the doer or she's the doer. And this is special mercy. And so we can never always see clearly why something is happening in the way it does. Because it may simply be to purify the performer. Okay, so here's some things we can think about.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for enlightening us on these two verses. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, if you have any questions or comments or any realizations, you can please go ahead. You can raise your hand or you can type in the chat box. I can read it for you. Thank you so much.
Turn on your cameras.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, please turn on your cameras if possible. Yes, Mataji, Scarlett Mataji, you can please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, my obeisances to you, Your Holiness. In what I understand about Mahabharata is the reason that all this has happened was because of envious between two brothers, between Duryodhana's father and Yudhishthira's father. And that is envy. And then it led it to be cheating. By cheating in the gambling, Duryodhana took the king place. So maybe that was the way to teach the lesson. Have I understood it wrong?
Well, the actual understanding is Pandu, the father of the Pandavas, was the rightful king to the throne. Pandu died untimely, and therefore his sons were the rightful heir. But the father of Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, felt that because he was the older brother of Pandu, he should rule the throne. And then it became a fact that he was not able to rule because he was blind. So thinking that if I can't rule, I should give it to his sons. So he gave it to his sons, headed by Duryodhana. And Duryodhana became very avaricious, very greedy, and wanted to take the throne. But the Pandavas were the rightful heir, but Dhritarashtra stepped in and said, because I am the older brother, I should get the throne. But because I can't rule, my son should get the throne. So there was some intrigue there. And so they cheated. Yudhishthira was the rightful owner of the throne because he was the oldest son of King Pandu after Pandu died. So that intrigue led to all of these plots by Duryodhana and others to kill the Pandavas so they could rule the throne. And you'll see that even today. There's always fights for positions in political circles. One king or one party will cheat the others, do so many things to either tear down the others or to somehow or other lie and try to get in power. Politics is very dirty. It's very dirty by nature. And so you always find there's violence, intrigue, envy, and so many other things. That's why we, in order to establish Krishna consciousness rule, the ruling head of the state has to be someone who is what we call Rajarsi. And that means Rajarisi. Rajarsi means king who is knowledgeable of Shastra, who acts on behalf of Scripture, who teaches and rules on behalf of Scripture. So when you don't have that, then you have so many of these different plots and intrigues like that. So yeah, there was a lot of cheating going on like that. The Pandavas were exploited, they were cheated, they were pushed out. Simply so Duryodhana and his followers could have the throne. Duryodhana was super intelligent too. He knew how to position himself in such a way as to put himself forward in these political arenas, and he also knew how to bring other people with him. But Krishna was there. He could see that Pandava was the rightful heir. He did everything to keep the peace, but short of war. But when nothing worked, and the Pandavas continued to be exploited, and even they were even being trying to be killed. And Krishna said, all right, ultimately, war is the only solution. So yeah, if you read the Mahabharata, you'll find of all these details are there.
That does answer, Mataji. You're on mute. Okay. Any more questions?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Hare Krishna.
Devotees?
Mataji, can I ask Maharaj?
Yes, sure.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances at your holy feet. Maharaj, my question is that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about in chapter 3 that Krishna says that, Lord says that above the body are the senses, above the senses is the mind, and above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul, and the soul is spiritual. So the mind, intelligence, and the false ego are all part of the subtle body. So my question is, Maharaj, that who is the one who is asking the questions, and who is the one who is being answered? Like when we ask questions in general.
It's the mind that's asking the questions. And the mind is a composite of all of one's experience and desires and emotions in this present life and in previous lives. It's the mind that's doing. The soul is pure. The soul already is connected with Krishna. The soul is pure, and therefore it cannot be distant from Krishna. But the mind interferes with the relationship between the soul and the Lord, and therefore the mind takes over. It drags the senses and the body with it, and with the help of the intelligence, it tries to exploit the material energy. When the intelligence is connected to Scripture and to Guru, and the intelligence, because it's finer than the mind, has the power to direct the mind towards the activities of the soul. Therefore, as you made that statement, the connection between the soul and the Lord is through the intelligence. It takes intelligence to be a devotee in this movement. One has to sharpen their intelligence, and even if we're not very intelligent by nature, we're being given intelligence by the Supreme Lord, by the Shastras, by the spiritual master, to the activities in devotional service and learn how to do that. So that intelligence is given both in the understanding and in the application. So the intelligence is our friend if it's working for Krishna. And intelligence is our enemy if it's working to feed the mind whatever the mind wants to do. Because the mind is very turbulent and restless and doesn't stay in one place. Intelligence is more steady by nature.
Okay, Maharaj. So Maharaj, the one who says, like when we ask, somebody asks a question, a devotee asks a question, as you said, and then when I say, or the devotee says, I understand. So that means it is the intelligence that is understanding, and intelligence is doing the rest of the job.
The intelligence is acknowledging by saying, I understand, yeah. But the mind is carrying it out with the help of the senses.
Okay.
The senses carry it out with the direction of the mind, guided by the intelligence. So there's material intelligence and spiritual intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Maharaj.
There's spiritual mind and there's also material mind. But the mind is harder to control than the intelligence, because the intelligence is based on discrimination, to see the difference between what is right and what is wrong and act accordingly. Discrimination and the intelligence can also give us determination. But the mind cannot be so determined. The mind is more subject to what happens in the immediate environment.
Okay, Maharaj.
I'll give you an example. You're standing on the top of a very high building and you're looking down, and the mind tells you, jump. And the intelligence says, no.
Yes, Maharaj.
We experience that too. We want to do something and we know all of a sudden the mind is telling us to do something that's very bad for us or bad for others. But then the intelligence says, no, this is not right. So you can see how both are working together. So therefore, the whole business of Krishna consciousness is to control the mind by the intelligence and direct that towards Krishna in devotional service. Otherwise, the mind will lead us towards material entanglement and will act according to whatever it wants to act. That's why it says never trust your mind. Because at any minute, it can just jump and somewhere you're pretty much somewhere else. You could be sitting with a person who you like very much, and all of a sudden the mind will start finding fault with that person. It's just it's the nature of the mind. Very much difficult to control. And the intelligence is the only factor that can control it. The example is given, you'll see it in the Bhagavad Gita. You see a chariot, and on the chariot there's two persons. One is holding the reins of the chariot, which are connected to the horses, and the other one is the passenger. So the driver is the actual intelligence, the reins are the mind, the horses are the senses, the chariot is the body, and the passenger is the soul. So according to how that intelligence is driving the chariot, using the mind and the senses, the soul is being dragged in different directions. So don't trust your mind, trust Krishna, trust the scriptures, trust the good spiritual master. We have a tendency to think whatever I think is correct. And that's our problem.
That's mind. Yes, Maharaj. Now it is very clear, because yes, who is asking the question, who is being answered? Now after I heard you, Maharaj, now it's so clear as the water. So that's why it said that a guru is very important for you, because he is the one who is sent by God. He's God himself for you in the material world. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Vrenda Kumari Mataji, please go.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Maharaj.
Kumari.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, my question is, when I read these verses, I feel that Arjuna, Yudhishthir is in the same situation as Arjuna was at the time of war. But did Yudhishthir, okay, did Yudhishthir not hear the Bhagavad Gita when Krishna was telling Arjuna? So why is he again in the same situation with the feelings like lamentation and compassion? I was just thinking like that.
Well, as we mentioned, he's blaming himself for the war. He's blaming himself for all the deaths that happened because he thinks it was fought on my behalf in order for me to become king. So, but later on, you'll see as Krishna sees the situation and sends Yudhishthir to hear from Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev gives him the instructions and the duties that a saintly king must do. So it's his natural compassion to think like that, but it's misplaced. It's wrong. He's not responsible, because I made that point. And when you act in devotional service, you're not responsible to the results. Krishna says, never think yourself the cause of the results of your activity. Never consider yourself to be don't consider yourself not to perform your activity. You must perform your activity. The results are not based on your actions. One who works underneath the material energy, they connect with either the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and they get a result according to the nature of that mode. And one who works under the guidance of the spiritual master in Krishna is freed from any material action, and the reactions they get is the principle of elevating them closer to Krishna, purifying their consciousness. So as long as you stay in devotional service, whatever happens is simply an expression of the devotion that you're offering to Krishna. That's all. Even though it may look like a material reaction. Of course, if you're acting for your own personal gain, along with performing devotional service, that is called mixed devotional service, karma mishra bhakti. And karma mishra bhakti means that I'm looking to gain something from this activity of devotional service. Devotional service, Swami says, the devotional service has to be free from personal gain and for gain from philosophical speculation on spiritual topics also. So it's a great science. We have to learn the science of devotional service. And devotional service is executed successfully as we cultivate the modes of goodness. One who is trying to act in passion and ignorance and still perform devotional service will not get the benefit of devotional service, and their activities will be entangling. One who develops the qualities of the mode of goodness and serves the Lord in those qualities, that is the stepping stone to transcendence. In other words, one has to practice these good qualities. And then you're nicely situated. So we have to remember what our position is. We are a servant. So if we're not serving in the spiritual realm, we're serving in the material realm. We can't get away from the activities of service because that's our nature. We're always serving. But when we try to serve the Lord in order to gain something on the material level, then our bhakti is mixed, and the results will also be mixed, and the benefit we get will be very little. So we have to serve in order to please. That's all. We're do it nicely. How can I do it with the mood of pleasing the spiritual master, Krishna, the Vaishnavas, to help push on religious principles? All of these are motivations for pure devotional service. And automatically we benefit because we connect with Krishna. Therefore, any activity we perform, we become, what we say, detached from our personal desire. That's what it says, that renunciation and knowledge and devotional service become automatic.
Guru Maharaj, your voice was cutting a lot. Couldn't hear the last line, Guru Maharaj, from the part that renunciation.
Yeah, one who's engaged in devotional service gets knowledge and detachment all automatically.
Does this help, Vrinda Kumari Mataji?
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Scarlett Mataji, you have one more question to ask?
Yes, please. I have, every time I read the Bhagavad Gita, I read in many places that devotional service is very, very important, and I understand that. But at the same time, so people around and in different lecture that I listen to, they talk about very much about reading. It's very important to read. It's very important to read. But when I read Bhagavad Gita, especially 12.5 in purport, Prabhupada says that the important devotional service is more important to be with other devotee, and to do devotional service is more important. Is reading devotional service?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah, reading is devotional service. It's called hearing. When you're hearing, that is one of the 9 angas of devotional service. You're hearing about Krishna, you're hearing about the activities of how to perform devotional service. It's hearing. This is one of the angas or limbs of bhakti, and it's the first anga which accompanies all of it. So hearing, either hearing directly from the spiritual master or hearing from the scriptures, is also bhakti. We have the example of Sukadev Goswami speaking the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Maharaja Parikshit was hearing. He heard for 7 consecutive days. And after hearing with rapt attention, full attention, he became fully self-realized simply by the process of hearing. So hearing is very, very fundamental, and it's also a point of self-realization. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because hearing goes right to the soul.
Do you have any further question, Mataji? Scarlett Mataji?
Yes, please. Another question I have is, I read many places, even in Bhagavad Gita, that Lord Krishna says everything is under his
Control.
Control. Yes, he controls even our mind. He controls everything, our mind, everything. So how do I know which one was I thought I did it, or it was the control of Lord Krishna? You know what I mean?
Krishna gives you your independence, but he's also directing you at the same time. That is his control. if you wanted to speak of full control, then it means he'll force you to do something, but he doesn't do that. Because the whole principle of bhakti is based on voluntarily accepting and acting accordingly. And that's the principle of devotion. Devotion has to be given voluntarily. So he allows us to choose between the material and the spiritual. But at the same time, he is directing us towards the spiritual. That's the control he's giving. But you should not confuse control with force. It's not like he's forcing it. It's like a parent. A parent is guiding a child, saying, don't do this. You've done this in the past because this in the past. This is what happened. Try to avoid this. Here, do this. You can see how people have done this to the heart, called by super soul, and he speaks through scripture. That's his. But ultimately, you can choose. Just like you chose to sit here and listen to this class, you could have chose not to. We have a choice.
Thank you.
Yeah, he doesn't take away your independence.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Sridevi Mataji, you have a question.
Thank you. Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, on the subject of envy, you mentioned that two people may join together, but one person may make a lot of progress, and then the other person may envy them. So how, let's just say, for the sake of this question, that I'm the one who's feeling very envious. How should I deal with that? And my second part is, what if I'm the one who's made progress and I'm seeing my friend feeling envious? I could lose the friendship. So how do I handle that? Both ways.
Yeah. Prabhupada deals with that. He said those who are in a superior position should always be sensitive to those who are in a lesser position and always be very kind. Not that I made spiritual progress and you didn't, therefore I'm in a better position than you, and therefore I'm better than you. So it really it comes from those who are in the more superior position, at least according to organizational status, to say, well, actually, you're my friend and we joined together, so he shouldn't see himself better, or he should be more kind, more affectionate, more caring, uplifting. All of these things are part of it. As Prabhupada said, it's the duty of the senior devotees to be very affectionate and caring for the junior devotees, and it's the duty of the junior devotees to be very obedient to senior devotees. So it's really up to the senior devotees to become aware that, don't think you're better just because you're in a better position. Share your good fortune, share your knowledge, share your experiences.
So that's how the person who's made some progress should be very compassionate towards others. Then the first part of my question was, what if I'm the one feeling very envious that my friend has made so much progress and is better than me? How I should deal with that?
Well, you have to realize that whatever position you're in and whatever position they're in is simply by the arrangement of the Lord. So you're actually blaming the Lord for what the situation is. So you just think, oh, that person knows how to really execute devotional service and is making nice spiritual advancement. I should be happy. Let me also make advancement like he does. Not that I feel unhappy or I want to tear him down I find some fault. And this envy pervades the material world very strongly, and it also saturates in areas in the devotional life too. We have to get over that if we're going to make advancement in devotional service. We should be happy for another person's success. We should be unhappy for another person's struggles. We should try to help those who need it and try to serve those who are in the position to give their mercy to us in so many different ways.
Thank you, Maharaj.
That's the ideal example.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Susanna Mataji, you want to ask any question?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and you. I would like to ask a follow-up question, maybe, to the previous one by Sridevi Mataji, but it's in a different direction regarding kids. That, of course, everyone in this world has difficulties with being humble, and I myself the most. And I teach young kids, and I was wondering how to kindly preach to them, not to react in a way that it's offensive, that the whole communication can get a result in a way that mostly I am successful with this, but there are more and more kids that they didn't learn how to communicate, that's all. And how to make them understand that communication is really everything to get understanding of the studied language or whatever they study.
Well, we have to have sanghas so we can inspire, come forward and speak and express their concern, their questions, their struggles in Krishna consciousness, create a platform for these types of discussions. We always like to go around where everything is nice and avoid where it's not so nice. But it's the duty of the senior devotees or those who are situated in a position of caring to find ways to bring up the devotees to a more, progressive state of practicing devotional service. So creating forums, seminar groups, various types of gatherings where expressions can be done, like we call it istagosti sometimes. We also have programs for Bhakti Vriksha, Namhat, seminar programs. All of these things allow people to hear and to express themselves. If people don't join, then they're missing out. Our whole movement is based on association. You have to understand that. Try to understand this one point, that everything we do, the success of everything we do is based on association.
Yes. Yes, sure, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
And we should always seek out association in order to advance in Krishna consciousness and to find opportunities for service.
No. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, we are almost 1 hour mark. We reached. Do you have still time to take more questions?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Scarlett Mataji, you want to ask anything else?
Yes, I have another question here. As I said, I go to a very little place here, which I now understand is preaching center. And there is a very, very little room where it is deities, and there is only on Saturday and on Wednesday, there is a program. But the situation is like that. When I go there, I see it's, I don't see that, what to say, the family, Krishna conscious family working there. It's like there are people who's behaving very strangely, but even though that they are have been initiated 2 times and 1 time or 2 times or anything like that, and they have been very, 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 very long in the consciousness, but still there is no family feeling. I'm so sorry to say that. How do then I do if I see something that is not really good, and I feel that it take away my concentration, my focus in what I try to learn, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, do my service. Still, it feels that I go very, very, very carefully around because I'm afraid somebody will be angry or behave very badly. How to do that? Who do I go to talk?
Well, we have to be an example for what we want others to be also. You say example is higher than precept. So try to conduct yourself in the way that you feel is the best. And one of the things is to always avoid arguments, avoid gossip, avoid, small talk, which just brings our consciousness down, and keep things focused on Krishna and devotional activities. If you find others are not doing that and it's disturbing, then you can't do anything about it. You should still follow these exemplary qualities that are mentioned as a devotee's qualities, and at the same time associate with others who you can associate with. It's just the way it is. There's people who come, they have no training, they don't understand what a movement is, they come for social life, they come for a little spiritual practice, but they don't know how to associate with each other. And that's unfortunate. The association comes by way of the mood of service. If we're always in the mood of service, then we're always in the mood of getting the mercy and having the opportunity for service and association. Why do we go to these gatherings? Mostly, if there was nobody there, we wouldn't generally go just by ourselves. We go because other people are going. So we're social beings. We like to be with other people, but we like to be with people who we can be with. So that should be the mood. Now, if it's not happening, we have to be the example in order to show others what is the example for that. At the same time, keep our own consciousness connected to Krishna. If it's not happening, then we have to somehow or other distance ourselves from that and find that association that we can feel natural, happy. You see, our society is quite open. People who come from any background, they don't even know what to do or how to act or what the purpose of the whole reason for coming is. So we're trying to truncate through various types of examples that we can set by others. So we can't be something else and expect people to be better to others.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Try to put more expectations on yourself, and you'll see how that affects your relationships with others.
Sorry, Guru Maharaj, last part was all cutting out, so we couldn't hear properly. Can you
Put more emphasis on cultivating the qualities of your own devotional than starting to worry about what everybody else is doing. You want other people to change, you change.
Does that help, Scarlett Mataji? Did you want anything?
Yes. For now, it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Good question.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, nice question, Mataji.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No problem. So, Namrata Mataji, you want
No,
to go?
it was a good question. You have to understand it's not such an easy thing to understand and practice. But the easiest thing is just work on yourself. And you'll see how that affects your relationships with others.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Namrata Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, my question is regarding chanting. So many times it happens that we are in a schedule for chanting, and sometimes if we are in traveling or in case we get sick, our schedule get disturbed, and then coming back to the proper chanting schedule becomes difficult, or maybe it takes 1 week or maybe 10 days, or depending upon the ability of the devotee. Why does this disturbance to get back happen, Guru Maharaj?
Well, they say habit is second nature. So if you get into a habit, get into a good Krishna conscious habit, then it becomes easy. To get into the habit may be a little hard at the beginning. So once you jump out of the habit, if you stay out of the habit too long, you create another habit, and then that habit becomes your second nature again, and then you're in that habit, although you try to get back. So just like, I'll give you a personal example. I like to read Bhagavatam. And so I read every day. So sometimes I miss, and I think, oh, I missed today. I'm not going to miss tomorrow. So I immediately try to get back because the habit is still strong. But if I don't go, if I miss for a few days in a row, getting back doesn't become as easy as it was if I missed only one day. Because I've somehow lost the understanding of the benefit of reading, or even the sweetness that comes by reading, or the knowledge that comes by reading. So once you get into a schedule, stay into it, and if you break it, try to get immediately back into it, because long-term separation from a good schedule will create another schedule.
So, Guru Maharaj, is this a weakness Is this called a weakness?
No, it's just human nature. That's all.
Okay.
If you want to be Krishna conscious, then just 24 hours a day, just serve, chant, read, do all the activities of devotional service. And then you're building your consciousness in that direction.
Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, there's a nice story that's related to Srila Prabhupada. When he was in Delhi, or I think it was Delhi, somewhere in India, he just finished a lecture and many important government people had attended. And at the end, one man who was from the government, he came and fell at the feet of Prabhupada, full dandavats, grabbing Prabhupada's feet, very humble. And the devotees were quite new. The American devotees of Prabhupada were quite new. They were quite amazed to see such an important person and such a humble. So they asked Prabhupada, what is it about you that inspires people to act like that? And Prabhupada immediately responded, I have no lust. And then he left. He got in his car, and some of the devotees who were with him also joined him in his car. And it was quiet. The devotees were thinking about what Prabhupada had said. And then finally he arrived at his place of residence. He got out of the car, turned around, looked at all the devotees and said, it's not because I have no lust, it's because I have no time. Don't give Maya time. If you give Maya time, she'll take more. If you give Krishna time, then it'll be easier and easier to perform devotional service.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. That was
No
a
time for
wonderful.
Maya.
Yes.
Thank you.
Prabhupada's example was wonderful. Thank you very much.
And Scarlett's reminding us we always have our beads. No matter where you are.
No,
just-
I remembered I had this, but I had forgot it, and now I have it. So I'm going to use my beads. Only my beads, and not this one anymore. I'm going to just use my beads.
Very good. You'll see the difference. Sukapa has back. Wow, she took a vacation. She's back in action.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Your cosmological stars have shifted again, and so now you're back.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to your lotus feet. No, I listened to the class, and so many devotees asked such a lovely question that most of my questions are answered. So I don't need to ask questions. I enjoy listening to question and answer and your talks. So, I don't want to disturb other devotees.
No, I know that. I know that. I see you every day there.
Guru Maharaj, today is a little bit different question. Why do we call soul as a fallen soul when soul actual properties are transcendental?
Yeah, soul means disconnected. That's fallen means disconnected. Disconnected from the source. We are Krishna conscious by nature, but we could be Maya conscious. And Maya conscious means a whole varieties of different types of consciousness. So fallen means falling out of forgetting Krishna, that's all. Falling out of the activities of devotion, taking up material activities. This, like, I'll give you an example. A young man has a very rich, he comes from a very rich family. His family and go out and live on his own. And because he has no money now, he's just living from place to place and he's struggling. So, but still, he's the son of a very rich person.
Sorry, Guru Maharaj, 1 second, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Sorry, Guru Maharaj. There was a doctor wanted to speak to me, so okay, go.
Okay. So we use the example of a young man who comes from a very rich family, but decides to give it all up and go on his own. And now on his own, he doesn't have the benefit of being close to his family fortune or the care that he normally would get. So now being on his own, he's living from place to place, he's struggling. Some days he doesn't even have enough. If someone comes along and says, hey, why are you living like that? Oh, just go home and you can live nicely with your father. And then he said, oh, yeah, you're right. He goes back home and then there's no more struggle. But that's us. We separate ourselves from Krishna and then we struggle to somehow or other live independently. As soon as we come back to Krishna, the struggle is over.
But basically, soul is pure, isn't it?
It's not basically, intrinsically, naturally.
Okay.
Soul is always pure, but the mind jumps in the middle and takes over, and the soul follows the direction of the mind. It remains pure, although it's being dragged through the material energy.
Thank you very much.
That the happiness and the stress that's happening to me is actually happening to me. So it's not to the body and mind. Because we identify with the body and mind, we think, oh, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this and that. But ultimately, we're Krishna Das. Maya Lavase, Kacho Bese, Kacho Hobu Bubai, Chief Krishna Das, Vishwash, Kodina Adukanai. You're being kicked by the waves of the material energy. But you are Krishna Das. You belong to Krishna.
True.
So we have to stop this kicking program by just coming back to Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Guru Maharaj, we are almost at 1.5 hour mark. Can we still?
We still have, there's 2 questions still.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, just want to confirm with you. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Scarlett Mataji, you want to ask anything else?
Yes. You say the soul is pure, but then I had learned that what we have gone through, or what we have in front of us, it's because of past actions, karma.
But it's the mind and the body that's going through. The soul is just being dragged. That's all. Nothing's happening to the soul. Just like in a dream, if you go into a dream state, You might think you're something different than what your waking reality. In your dream, you may be suffering and enjoying in a certain way, but it's just a dream. You're still the same person. What's happening in the dream is not even real. It's just a dream. So this waking reality is another form of dream. That's all. We're dreaming we're a man. We're dreaming we're a woman. We're dreaming we're happy. We're dreaming we're unhappy. We're dreaming so many things. But it's all a dream. That's why it is Jeev Jago, Golda Chandra Boy. Wake up, soul. You're sleeping on the Maya witch and she's kicking you. Wake up to your true reality. Chant the holy names of the Lord. Serve the Lord of your heart. Let's see. What is that? Where is that verse? Bhaja Govinda. Kaho Govinda. Laho Govinda Namre. Well, just worship Gauranga. I'm not Govinda. Bhaja Gauranga. Kaho Gauranga. Laho Gauranga Namre. Just worship Gauranga. Chant the names of Gauranga. Serve Gauranga. But we're serving Maya, and then we're thinking, I'm pure. Yeah, you're pure, but you're serving a bad master. That's all. Your purity can never be erased. It's there, it stays. But just like in the dream state, you think you're something else and you act in something else. So realize Krishna is always with you. But we're not always with Krishna. That's our problem. But in order to realize that, you have to serve Krishna. Then you'll start to realize it. But sometimes, the chanting of the holy name is like the alarm clock to wake us up from this illusion. But even when we go to sleep at night, we hear the alarm clock in the morning and we hit the snooze button. Okay? We go back to sleep again. Because we think, oh, this is so nice, this illusion. Someone's saying, get up, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. No, I don't get up so early, I get up at 10. So when we get tired of being kicked by Maya, then the waking process becomes a little more desirable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for such nice questions. Sridevi
Thank
Mataji.
Thank you, Srimati. Dear Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisances again. Guru Maharaj, how do we get past the bodily identification because it is so strong?
That is. That's what's called austerity. So austerity gets you off the bodily conception of life. So no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling. Chant 16 rounds minimum a day. Engage your mind and senses, intelligence in the service of the Lord. All of these are principles of austerity that helps to get us off the bodily concept. We have to take care of the body, no doubt. But don't make taking care of the body the main thing in life. It is necessary, but it's not something that it's going to give you the happiness. Just like what is the benefit of a car? The car gets you to where you want to go. So it has some benefit. But it's not like you just sit in your car all day and polish it, and then you just repaint it and just fix it up and look at it. You use the car to get where you're going. So we have to use this body because it's a vehicle for the soul's relationship with Krishna. So it requires some maintenance. But it's not like you don't just polish the car the whole day and think, oh, boy, it's a nice car. Do the needful and then focus your consciousness in that activity that's going to elevate your consciousness.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Is that okay?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I'm really trying to see where my time is going and in what way I'm using my energy. Doesn't
You want me to
seem
give
like
you
I'm
some?
using.
Do you want me to give you some practical instructions right now?
Yes.
Okay. Don't eat in between meals. Eat at a regular time. Eat only prasadam and cook your own food or get nicely prepared food. Stop snacking. Stop that will destroy your ability to control your mind and senses, and at the same time it will make your sleep patterns really bad. So eat light in the morning sufficiently. Eat a nice lunch and then something very light in the evening, and just eat nice wholesome prasadam. Stop snacking.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
And you'll see, if you can't do that right away, the first thing you can do is just like eat fruit in the morning. That's all. And then lunch, it should be a nice rounded meal, dal, chapatis, sabji, rice, maybe some other varieties in there. A nice wholesome meal. And then for the evening, something not so heavy, light, and give yourself at least 3 hours before you take rest after the last meal. That's all. If you start doing that regularly, you'll be able to organize your day where you'll be able to go to Mangal Arti, you'll be able to get a lot of other things done. That's all. Is that okay?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Did I say anything that made sense?
Oh, it makes eminent sense, Guru Maharaj. I just need to do it now.
Yeah. And you have to understand this eating in between meals or just not eating properly, because Prabhupada says when you control your eating, you can control your sleeping. And that's in the Shastras too. When you can control your eating and sleeping, then you can more easily execute devotional service. It has to be there.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Asha Mataji,
Don't be so lazy. Cook. You can cook. I know you can cook.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. I will cook now.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Okay. My humble obeisances at your holy feet again, Maharaj. Maharaj, I had written a poem and I want to offer it at your feet with your permission. Parted and separated, I think in ignorance, when from my beloved Lord, the heart is filled with gallons of misery. Everything seems to be at stop. There is no comfort and peace, no sleep at night, no reason to smile. Whom shall I open the heart? It's known to Lord everything as thou is the one who owns the heart. Time slips by, day and night are just dreamlike. My beloved, my Lord, seems to be absent, though present everywhere. He is the breath, the word, and the meaning, the reason and the cause of my living. Let me not spend time in waste in mirror gazing. O beloved, grace me to spend time in self-reflecting. Help me to be still the mind at your holy feet by chanting your holy name. Help me to lift the veil of ignorance by immersing myself in the Harinam fragrance. Let there be no space for anyone, as there is space only for one. Either ego or Lord, let me have always the one and only one. You, my beloved Lord Krishna, by chanting your mantra, which is you yourself. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hari Bol.
Thank you. Very, very deep expression of devotion. Krishna is he's always with us, but we don't experience that because our mind is not focused. Therefore, just focused on Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And Maharaj, I just wanted to share with everybody, and also I want to tell you that Radha Vinodini Mataji had shown this book in a previous class, and I bought this online. After reading this book, after coming in contact with the sacred book, I understood that Maharaj, chanting is not about how many rounds you chant, but it is the strengthening about the love relationship that you have with Krishna. And this book,
exactly.
This book has helped me a lot.
We were discussing that in class this morning.
Yes, Maharaj.
What's the name of the book? I can't see it.
Japa meditation.
Contemplations on entering the holy name, written and compiled by Dhanundara Swami.
Very nice, yeah. Yeah, I've read that book. It's very helpful.
Yes, Maharaj.
There's also a nice one by Mahatma. He's also a Prabhupada disciple. Is called Japa Affirmations, 20 affirmations in Japa. And those of you who are in the Croatian, Slovenia area, starting tonight and going on till Saturday, there's a Japa retreat in Slovenia here. Anybody who wants to make it over, Dhanvantari, you can come. Ananda Gopika, you can come. Vishwa Pavani. Who else is there in the range here? I see Valentina. She can also come. If you come to this Japa retreat, you'll see the difference when you leave after 3 days. He is the Japa Acharya in ISKCON. And his writings, his lectures, seminars is being attended by people all around the world. So anyone who's interested in coming, just contact Somya Datri or myself and come. 3 days in the mountains, 3 days with the holy name. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Sorry, 4 days. Anyone else? Even those of you in London, you could take a quick flight.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Yes, Mataji.
Yes. I think we should end. I think it's in India right now. What time is it? It's about 10:15, is it?
No, Guru Maharaj, it's 9:15, 9:14.
9:15 in India right now. Okay. In the evening.
So I see 2 more hands raised, Guru Maharaj. What should we do? Can we continue or? Yeah, Namrata
All right.
Yeah.
You're in charge. You just decide.
Yeah.
I'm your servant.
One last question. I
I'm
think we
simply
can
your servant. Whatever you decide, I will go along with.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Namrata Mataji, please go ahead.
Okay, Guru Maharaj, this is just a quick realization sharing. Won't take a lot of time. This is regarding the instruction what you were giving to Sridevi Mataji. Before 2 years, here in Surat we have a silent rooms. So people come and they register for maybe 3 days, 7 days, 21 days, and they are given a room in which they are given all the facilities for reading and meditation or whatever they want to do, but there should be no material activities inside those rooms. So and a single person can stay in one room. So the room has a very basic, simple interior, and all that promotes your reading or going back to your inner self and such type of thing they have created. So I went there for 3 days, and their schedule was like you have to wake up at 3:30. You have to clean your room and then clean your room, take bath, complete everything by 4:30, and they give you a big glass of milk at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30, between 4:30 to 5, and then again nothing in between. Then at 9:30 you are given the lunch. Then at nothing in between. Then 2 o'clock you are again given the glass of milk, and then at 5:30 you are given the dinner. That's it. No other thing. You cannot carry your own snacks and all that in the room. You cannot carry your mobile phones or anything in the room. Just reading, and if you want to do kirtan, you are giving the kartals over there and all that. So that was a nice experience. And then 8:30 you are supposed to sleep. So that was the schedule what they have recommended. So I really found that interesting, because when I was practicing that for 4 days, for 3 days, it really, I was just thinking that if this much is given, then will not my body demand more for food or something? But out of my surprise, nothing. I mean, I was totally satisfied with my belly, and I could totally concentrate on whatever reading I wanted to do. So I did all the Prabhupada reading, and I could read very nicely at that time. So this is some of the benefits when we don't eat in between our meals. So that reminded me, so I shared the experience.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you all. Well, today was a different schedule because of I had this guest that came, and I took some time with them today. So I had to change the schedule. But tomorrow we'll go back to the original schedule again. To UK time is at 12 o'clock.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for participating, and very nice question answer session. And we'll meet you again tomorrow at 12 p.m. UK time. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Okay, Haribol.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your wonderful association. Hare Krishna.
Lalita, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We also saw Shamaguri's Shivagori.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Also,
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Maharaj.
Nanda Gopi